Hello my friends and happy Tuesday to you. If you're coming home from work, you're gonna have a fantastic rest today. If you're going to work, you're gonna nail it. Well, today we're gonna begin the video with a very human story. I'm gonna show you a small Ukrainian girl who is afraid because yesterday there was a big missile and drone attack against Ukrainian cities. Now this little girl does not understand why these Russian men who are shooting these missiles, why don't they go home and play with their children? It's a very honest question. Let's watch it. I'm in a bomb shelter now. There's a smell of paint here. Aren't you scared? It would be better if I went home and played. And those who launch missiles, why didn't they go and play with their children? Now that is the question of $1 million. Yeah, they probably do have children and wives and families. Why don't they go home? Why do they push the button? Why do they keep the regime going? Children are honest and ask the right questions here. Now, my friends, we'll continue on to one of the most legendary anti-air defense system Ukraine wields right now. I'm not talking about Patriot or Iris-T. I'm talking about Gepard. This is a very old system and almost decommissioned. I mean, Germany started phasing these systems out in 2010, where they were already about 40 years old, almost half a century old, but they perform amazingly in Ukraine. They're one of the most effective systems against Shahed drones, and they look incredibly cool. The only issue with them is that ammunition is produced mostly in Switzerland. A little bit would be produced in Norway also, but mostly in Switzerland. And the Swiss are kind of pro-Russia in a way that Russia is holding a lot of money. I'm saying like a huge amount of money in Swiss banks. So Switzerland is not very eager to produce ammunition for Ukraine, who's shooting down Russian drones or Iranian drones. Unfortunately, the effectiveness of this Gepard system is dependent on the Swiss. On April 26, 2022, Germany's defense minister announced the military aid packet for Ukraine that included the famous Gepard short-range air defense system. On March 8, 34 Gepard units were delivered to Ukraine by Germany, after which the vehicle effectively entered into operation in the country. And I do remind you, this vehicle is about half a century old by now. I think it was made in the 70s and it's 2024. So yeah, almost around 50 years and they're still effective as hell. So far, 35 Gepards have been delivered by Germany to Ukraine, with a further 45 promised and 60 purchased by the United States from Jordan, totaling 160 vehicles between delivered and promised. Now, a little side note here. Imagine you're Jordan. You're buying these from Germany because they're super old and you want some short-range air defense. You imagine, okay, I'm going to be the second-hand use of these Gepards. I'm going to use them and then scrap them. But then the war starts and now United States wants to buy them because there's not that many made in the world. So any kind of Gepards anywhere are suddenly extremely valuable. So I guess Jordan would be the country who actually bought a second-hand air defense system from Germany, used it for a long time and sold it with a huge profit because there's a huge demand for it now. Well done, Jordan. The Bundeswehr started to retire its Gepard vehicles in 2010, at which time the Gepard 1A2 version already existed. This version will be the subject of this thread. To save resources, the Gepard was built on the same hull as the Leopard 1 with a few modifications. One of them is the space between the third and the fourth wheels. You can see it right here, which increases the size of the hull a little, but not too significantly. The Leopard 1A5 weighs 42 tons. The Gepard 1A2, on the contrary, weighs 47 tons, so 5 more tons, what the hell? Mainly due to the turret, the radars and the additional engine. However, it should be noted that the turret and the front radar of the vehicle have received reinforced armor. I have seen videos of 2022 where Ukraine actually used, the turret is manned by the commander and gunner. The inside front is covered with 5 panels displaying important vehicle information. The first panel is computer for many uses. The computer calculates the amount of ammunition needed for the target and its expected future position. Additionally, the computer also contains navigation data. This is already so fascinating to me because It sees the Shahed drone coming, calculates where it's gonna be. It's gonna be here in 2 seconds and you need 30 rounds for it. So it's gonna be like, that's what the computer does. I am amazed by this. Third panel shows the aircraft picked up by the tracking radar. All detected aircraft within a radius of 15 kilometers appear on this screen. So it's a short-range anti-air defense system. 15 kilometers is definitely a short range. The fourth panel receives information from the fire control radar, calculates the distance and speed, and automatically locks on the target, so the crew only has to pull the trigger. This panel also contains all the safety devices. Automatically locks on target with the dual cannons. I love it. Looks so cool, and the fact that it's automated. I don't know, something about this weapon system intrigues me. If Ukraine would be able to produce the ammunition for Gepard system, of course the West is able to produce drones and missiles that would be invisible to Gepard in any way. Russia uses Shahed drones mostly, which is the perfect target for Gepard. Gepard is made for such targets. Although when Gepard was made, such drones did not even exist yet. Now they do, and they're coincidence, perfect target for Gepard. So if Ukraine could produce the ammunition themselves, this system could serve Ukraine for a long time. Now, my friends, I want to take a few minutes of your valuable time to give you some... I'm not going to tell what I'm giving you, but this is Gerasimov. Look at this puppy. Sad Gerasimov noises, because we don't know where he is. Valery, 68 years old. In early January, he left his Crimean hotel to buy cigarettes and did not return. He was dressed in a general's uniform. A blast was seen near his last appearance. If you see him, please call. I want to live. The search is on. We're going to print it on egg cartons as well, but that could be a problem. Oh yeah, because Russia has issues with eggs. Not many eggs missing. Have you seen me? This puppy is gone. The Schrödinger's Gerasimov, alive or dead? Well, honestly, personally, I don't think he's dead. I don't think, but since so many people do think he is dead, I cannot ignore it. And I say this again, I don't think he is dead. I don't think he's injured or anything. Gerasimov was never very popular with the screens and he stays away from the spotlight. That has always been the case. It's more Shoigu and Putin who is in front of the camera. So if you don't see Gerasimov, don't mean he's dead. But the memes are priceless, so I'm gonna keep stealing your time. Look at this. Gerasimov versus this one right here. Cannot say even his name. They look, you know, the similarities are astounding with the style in Russia. I've seen Medvedev also wearing the same styled leather. They don't even hide it. They try to copy them. Yuri Gerasimov, look at this baby. This baby is missing. Have you seen this baby? Should have known smoking is bad for him. Attackam's cigarettes. Weekend at the Gerasimovs. Look at this stuff. I can't. The memes are so priceless. I'm having a... Oh, they found him. They finally found Gerasimov. And look, he's alive and well. He was just blowing off some steam in the barb. Oh. It's confirmed. He's not dead. He's just a little bit drunk. You ate Gerasimov, didn't you? Yes. You know, there is a problem. This photo is a lot more scarier or eerier than you would think. This is a Ukrainian soldier at the front line, and this is a dog at the front line. And the dogs do look like this at the front line. You might ask, why is the dog big? Is it sick? No, my friends, it's fat. Why is it fat? Well, you might already begin to guess, but these dogs and cats and wild boars, yes, wild boars also, they eat the Russian orcs. They eat the Russian worms. They do. The Russians die, the dogs eat them, and I mean, Ukrainians also. If the bodies are not picked up, the wild animals will eat them. Everyone, the bears, the dogs, the wolves, but mostly the dogs. And domesticated dogs that are very friendly towards humans. They're home puppies. They cuddle up with Ukrainian soldiers, and then at night they go out and eat anything at no man's land, and they get extremely fat. So Ukrainian soldiers already know this. The extremely fat dogs running around on the front line, they have been feasting on the orcs. Yes. Unfortunately, they really enjoy the taste. My friends, in the Russian army, you know, there are penal battalions, Storm G, Wagner. These people are, some of them are prisoners, some of them are people who have fallen through the cracks of life, and they are bunched together and they have all weapons and they're on the front of the Russian armed forces. So how does the Russian armed forces discipline these guys? Well, they use the pit system, and we have videos of it. I'm not kidding you, it is the 1800s, it is the 1600s. They dig pits in the ground, holes, cover them, and if a soldier drinks, does drugs, refuses to go to the position, or retreats, they are put in the pit. And you can see it right here. The pit just looks like a regular hole. And the guys, it's simple. You know why the Russians do it? Because this system does not need guards, does not need maintenance, doesn't need anything. It's the easiest way in the Russian sense of view mindset to punish a person without putting additional resources to it. They just dig a hole, put the guys in it. There are many guys down here, actually. And they keep them there until the guys, learn something or change their mind or lose faith, and then they have to go back to the front. So that's what they use to punish. Now here is another one of the pits. Now usually what they use is old cellars, because you don't even have to dig the hole. See, the Russian sense of view for the officers is, how can I do this task without putting any resources to it, without having to maintain the system and without having to control it? Oh, easy. I found a cellar, I put the guys in, I close the door, one entrance, and I only have to use one guard for like 30 men. And boom, this is a cellar. These guys are just sleeping here because they cannot go out. And you know what the officers do? They demand up to $1,000 for the guys to be released. So the guys have to pay. The guys are waiting for their salaries from the Ministry of Defense, and they have to pay this money to the officers to get out of the pit, and then they'll be sent to meet assaults anyway. So it is an extraction system. It's a mafia state, and in the military it's also a mafia-based order. So you gotta pay to get out, and then you're sent to the front, and if you don't go, you go back into the pit. So it's an endless cycle where only the officers and the top gain and benefit. The rest of them, as you can see, are carrying the system on their shoulders. This is the reality of a Russian soldier on the front. You spend your time in a pit, you wait for your wage from the Ministry of Defense, you give it to the officer, you are released from the pit, and you go and die for Putin. That is the circle of life, the Russian way. Now, my friends, I want to give some honor to Ukrainian hero, to a fallen Ukrainian hero. This is what we mean when we say Heroyam Slava, which means heroes honor. Heroyam Slava, honor to the heroes. Vladislav Salistovsky, 23-year-old Ukrainian MiG-29 pilot, died on a combat mission. Most people knew him as a Blue Helmet. In 2021, Vladislav graduated from Ivan Kozedup Kharkiv National Air Force University. We can only assume that also the MiG-21 was lost, so a very good pilot and a plane, Ukrainian, lost them both. Glory to this hero. Look at this puppy, look at this Budanov. I mean, he's like a little puppy. Look, he's receiving some news and he cannot hold back laughter. Look at this. He's trying so hard not to laugh. But why? Well, I'll read you the reason. Look at this. The Defense Intelligence of Ukraine reports receiving 100 gigabytes of classified data of the Russian enterprise Special Technological Center. This Russian company has been under sanctions since 2016. Its facilities produce military equipment and machinery used by the Russian army in the war against Ukraine. In particular, the STC manufactures Orlan drones for various modification, Orlan being one of the most effective and efficient Russian spy or recon drone. It does a very good job, and it's a very good drone. A number of electronic warfare and reconnaissance equipment and other military products. The amount of information transferred to the Defense Intelligence of the Ukraine includes documentation for 194 nomenclature items, drawings, technical tasks, patents, software. It includes both existing and promising military developments. According to preliminary estimates, the value of the data obtained could be as high as 1.5 billion USD. Now, what's important here is this is the company that actually makes new Russian recon and intelligence tech, which Russia is supposed to use to get an upper hand ahead of Ukraine. But now Ukraine knows the ideas that they're going to use and they can make a counter weapon before the idea reaches the battlefield. So this is what's important. Ukrainian war is one of the fastest evolving wars in the world because in 2022 the FPVs were were a very minor part of the battlefield. At the end of 2022, Ukraine started using more of the FPV drones. At first, Russia didn't have anything to do against them. 1 to 2 months, they were losing insane amount of infantry and armor to Ukrainian FPVs. Then they started fitting drone jammers onto most of their vehicles. Now suddenly Ukrainian FPVs not that efficient anymore because they're being jammed and Ukraine is losing a big amount of FPVs. Weapon, counter weapon. It took only 2 months, but that 2 months of vacuum is what makes most of the losses. Now Russia, this company which was hacked right now, is the company that's supposed to give Russia that extra 2 months before Ukraine produces the counter weapon. Let's say Russia makes a new recon drone or a new FPV that Ukraine cannot jam. Well, then Ukraine will have this 2-3 months when they desperately make the counter weapon, and then it's equalized again. But now, since Ukraine knows the ideas, knows the plans, patterns, and drawings, they don't even, this vacuum time doesn't exist because they can already develop a countermeasure to a weapon system that Russia has not even developed yet. So these things are extremely valuable, these hackings. My friends, Sweden, a country that is not yet part of NATO, is sending troops to Latvia. Canada has about 1,000 troops stationed in Latvia and commands the Baltic NATO battle group, but Sweden will also contribute a reduced battalion to Latvia. This is vitally important. I mean, the Baltics, Putin hates the Baltics overall. If it wouldn't be Ukraine, it would be the Baltics, it would be Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Putin doesn't see us as countries, as people, as nationalities, culture, and language. He sees us as colonies, as free labor force, as phosphorite mines, because Estonia has phosphorite. They would start mining immediately. That would ruin the entire land. They see us as a way to the Baltic Sea, a good place to build a harbor. So these troops, 1,000 Canadian troops, these half a battalion of Swedish troops, these US troops in Estonia right now as we speak, and the HIMARS in Estonia, United States HIMARS, these are extremely important, so important. And you cannot believe how thankful the Estonians, Latvians and Lithuanians are for you. So if you are from Canada, even though Canadians are not in Estonia, I do still have to thank you because it doesn't matter. From my home, it's 3 hours of drive to the Latvian capital, Riga. It's such a small area here. So if you have elected politicians that have sent troops to my area, you have been directly responsible for my country's security, my culture's staying alive, my language preservation. So thank you. United States, thank you Canada, thank you Sweden, and everybody who has contributed to the Baltic security. And now, my friends, my favorite part of the video, which is butchering the patron names with my Estonian pronunciation. You will hear your name said in the most freakish way possible that will haunt you for the rest of your life. If you want your name said, become a sergeant of Artur's army. Link in the description below. Eimer Vieldraier. Vieldraier. Jochen Sabo. Drakengård. James Karei. Thank you to these 4 people. If you like my channel, you know what to do. Until my next update, my friends, which will be tomorrow, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.